Hi everybody at Aston University, JP here from the Art of Brilliance, and I'm delighted to bring to you today the Why Factor. I think it's a great follow-up session from the work you've already done with Daryl, and it's a subject really close to my heart. I think over the last 5 or 6 years since I've been working with this concept, it's made a real difference to me both professionally and personally, and I'm delighted to be able to share with you the concept today. Now, before we get going, I've got a little video to show you. I think the video itself really brings to life and really kind of shows you the difference understanding your why can mean to the work that you do. So for the next few minutes, just sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and I'll see you right back on the other side.
The series is called How Do I Know? And a lot of times when people hear the phrase, how do I know, the next thing they say is what? How do I know what? But the key really isn't to know what, the key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that has moved me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We were in Winston-Salem. So Break Time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour, hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. Or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, you know, can you sing? And then I'm just gonna show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see.
So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
Welcome back and welcome to the Why Factor. Now I'm guessing that you had a much different emotional reaction to the second time that guy sang to the first time. I know I do. Every time I watch it I get goosebumps going down my neck. He certainly changed, didn't he? Because he knew why he was doing it. His performance changed, his energy changed. The engagement with the audience I think changes as well. They become much more kind of animated and with him, and the impact he has is that much greater because he knows why he's doing it. It's not what he was doing. And I think that's what we're going to take you through today. Now, I love a good quote. And one of my favourites is this one from Mark Twain, who said the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you worked out why. I know I've had days at work where I've kind of questioned myself and said, why are you doing this? But now I know. I think it kind of makes me much more resilient, much more gives me greater drive to be able to see through the tough times because I've got that greater purpose, the greater reason why. Now in this session today, I'm going to take you through three things. I'm going to warm you up really in a minute with a memory test. Now, if you do have pens and papers to hand because you're going to take notes during the session, please can I ask you just to put them to one side for this because actually I trust you not to cheat. It'll make it much more engaging for you. Then I'm going to take you through the concept and the principles of the golden circles. Now, if you're familiar with Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, these will make a lot of sense. And if you're not, I hope to bring to life about the importance of the why, your why factor, and the impact it can have on life. Then I'm going to leave you with a little bit of homework because I think this is going to really get you thinking. And I want you to explore it a little later, maybe with your friends and your colleagues around kind of this concept of what is your purpose, your why factor. And that may take a little time. So let's kick it off with this memory test. So pens and papers to one side. I'm going to put a series of letters across the screen in the moment. I'm going to give you 15 seconds in which to remember them. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, write them down. Now, can you remember them all? I'm sure some of you will. You'll be scribbling away, getting them all right. Now, some of you might not be kind of going, oh, okay, what was that? What was at the end? I remember what was at the beginning. That's normal. I've seen that kind of in all the workshops I've done this through. Some people get it straight away. Some people kind of get bits and pieces of it. But how did you get on? If you got them all, congratulations. And I'm pretty sure you followed a strategy. If you didn't, you probably got some at the start, maybe at the end. And some of you may have even written the word soup. I see it a lot, and I can see it staring at me right in the middle of the screen right now. Not in the kind of order that the letters appear in the word, but I can see why people see it. And that's kind of, for me, it's around, if you did do it in the strategy, I'm pretty sure you kind of split it up so that it made sense to you, so you could recall it a lot easier. But I know we'd all probably do better if I gave them to you in that format. I think that all makes sense. We know what those things are. And when under challenge, we can recall them that much easier because we've created meaning. And research has shown that one of the biggest motivators in flourishing is that feeling that we're making a difference, finding a strong meaning in the work that we do. Certainly the younger generation are after giving something back. They want to have something bigger. And I think that's a really important factor. Now, if you've ever read the book Drive from Daniel Pink, he focuses on the three key drivers in human motivation, being mastery, autonomy, and purpose. A reason why. And I think that just shows you being involved in something much greater than you is a key thing that motivates us as human beings. And well-being is big on the agenda at the moment, and thankfully so. Finding purpose is one of the key strategies. Understanding not what you do, but why you do it will, I think, make you more resilient, will drive you through the tough times. It's certainly done that for me, and I think that's why it's so important. So, there's a stat on the screen right now which kind of slightly scares me all the time I read it, that 65% of the population don't know why they go to work other than for the pay packet. But those 35% who do have identified a clear purpose, a reason why, are 8 times more effective. Now that's a startling figure that I think if we can understand this purpose, understanding our why factor, drives us forward. Now, the most inspirational leaders, organisations all do the same thing. Very different to the rest of us. Now, we probably all know who this guy is. And before you ask, it's not Luther Vandross, as somebody in a recent workshop asked me to do. Martin Luther King, who had 250,000 Americans listening to him in Washington with his speech entitled what? I Have a Dream. Now, do you think he would have been as successful if he'd have had his speech entitled I Have a Plan? Or I have a great set of service level agreements in which I can share with you? I'm not sure anybody would have been that motivated to listen to him talk about anything under those circumstances. And it also reminds me about in 1962 when JFK said to the American people, within 10 years we'll put a man on the moon. Now I'm pretty sure NASA weren't sitting there thinking, yeah, that's easy, we know how to do this. They were probably tearing their hair out thinking, how the heck are we going to do that? But do it they did, because they all shared this common purpose, driving them forward. And there's a famous story of a news conference in an aircraft hangar where once it was finished and people started milling around and leaving, there was a guy sweeping the floor and somebody asked him what he was doing. And he turned around and said, I'm helping to put a man on the moon. His part of it was sweeping and cleaning, but actually he was bought into that greater purpose. He understood why he was doing it. I think such a powerful message about it. I'm pretty sure he was probably the best cleaner in the entire world because he knew why he was doing it. So let's have a look at the concept of these golden circles. Now it's important to say at the start that none of these circles are any more important than the rest, but it's just important about where you start. Rather than starting on the outside, let's start on the inside. As Simon Sinek would say, start with why. But if I ask you, and you ask anybody around you or anybody in your family or in your community what they do, everybody would give you an answer. If we went around asking the organisations and the businesses around us what did they do, again, they'd all give us an answer. It may be what they've made, the services they offer, but I guarantee you that everybody would give us an answer. Now, some might be able to tell you how they do it, what makes them stand out. And at an individual level, I think that's the values that we live by. At a business level, it's probably what they call the USP, what makes them different to the people doing the same thing. But I think many people, in fact only the inspirational few, would be able to tell you why they do it. What is their cause, their purpose or belief? Now, if you and me and most people would communicate that from the outside in, we'd start with what we did and probably struggle with why we do it. Now, those inspirational leaders, organisations and businesses around the world, they do it very differently to us. They do it opposite. They start with why. They buy you into that purpose, their why factor. And if you believe the same things, then we've got you and you're with them all the way. To take this as an example, I'm going to kind of give you an example of a law firm. Now, I'm not going to ask you why you would need one, but let's imagine that we do. And when I'm going through the three circles, just tell me or kind of think about when you would be prepared to make a decision whether that's the law firm for you. So if we start with what they do, we just happen to be a world-class law firm, come and see for yourself. Now, would you be prepared to make a decision based on that? Don't know. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. Let's look at how they do it. We take an unconventional perspective, call it as we see it. We are committed to long-term progress. Hire our law firm. Are you prepared to make a decision now? Again, maybe, maybe not. But let's have a look at their purpose, their why factor. We believe in opening the doors of possibility so that people can overcome their greatest challenges. Now, I'd be more interested in them at that point because actually I believe the same thing. Their fingerprint is all over it. That's what they believe. And if you believe the same things, you might not be looking anywhere else. But then if you don't, you'll probably start looking out elsewhere for a company that does support your belief, your purpose, your why factor, so it's more aligned to it. Now, the reason why we do this is because it's talking to a part of the brain that makes all our decisions for us, the limbic system. But if I ask you kind of, and you've probably all had a gut feeling, but if I asked you to explain it, you probably wouldn't be able to do it. You just probably tell me, I don't know, it just feels right. That's because not only does the limbic system make all your decisions for you, it has no capacity for language. It really struggles, but you know what? It just feels right, doesn't it? That's the power of kind of where the why speaks to in us as humans. Now, if you look at the nested whys, and this is kind of from an organisational perspective, you're right in the middle of that. Your why is kind of what your purpose, your why in life is. Now, if you're part of an organisation and a department that has the same purpose, the same reason why, then that's where you come alive. Blood, sweat and tears you'd give for these people because you're all supporting the same purpose. But have you ever walked in an organisation where probably your purpose and theirs were different? That can cause you a little bit of angst, a little bit of anxiety. You can still do a great job, but it's not quite as easy because they don't quite meet. If you can get that all lined up, that's brilliant. That's where you will come alive. And writing a why statement is quite difficult, but actually there is a little bit of structure to help you. There's a to and a so that. Now the to part is your contribution. The question I would ask you is, what contribution do you make to the life of others? It's a big question, isn't it? But ask your family, your friends particularly, around what do they value in you. There's a great friends question I would get you to do. Now, this is to ask your 3 a.m. friends. And these are not the ones you go drinking out till 3 a.m. These are the ones that if they needed you or you needed them, you'd both come running to each other. Ask them the question, why are you friends with me? In that answer that they give is kind of what they value about you and the contribution you make. Big question, but it is worth asking so that the impact you want to have. What impact in the world do you want to have? Now, mine is quite simple for me, is to inspire and energize people to be the most brilliant version of themselves so that together we flourish. Really simple for me, but that drives me every day. Is what I'm about to do enabling me to live my why? Yes, great, you've got me hook, line and sinker. No, I probably won't get involved. Now, here's an example of an actual organisation's why statement. I mean, what kind of organisation does this belong to? Serving everybody in the community to ensure they're free from harm so they can lead fulfilling lives. Now, you might not be surprised for me to tell you that it's an actual police force's why statement, but it guides everything they do. They can look at how they're structured as an organisation. Does it enable them to live that? Yes, brilliant. No, maybe we need to restructure. Is what we're about to do enabling us to live our why? Yes, crack on. No, why are we doing it? It really acts as kind of that magnetic north, that kind of pointing, kind of true north star kind of thing that enables them to live it every single day. Ask some great questions. If it doesn't enable them to do that, then they challenge themselves about why they're doing it at all. So what did we do? We kind of showed you the power and the need to create meaning in the work that we do and the impact that it can have. And I shared with you the golden circles principles and concepts, which I hope made lots of sense to you. It makes a real difference if you get your head around it. Now, I did say I'd leave you with some homework, didn't I? Now, if you take your why statement and make it into a t-shirt slogan, like the ones that I used to wear in the 80s all the time, I mean, Frankie said everything, I think it becomes really powerful and really simple. To take a why statement and put it onto a t-shirt is quite difficult. You need to make it very simple. I've been involved in so many of these workshops that actually I've seen people create things that wouldn't go out of place on a corporate mission statement wall. It doesn't make a lot of sense or any engagement to the individual. It just sounds good. But that's not what it's about. It's about it's the difference it makes to you. My reason why gives me goosebumps every time I read it. And yours should too. If it doesn't, it's good, but it's not quite there. Do a little bit more work. Share it with your friends and see what happens. Now, they say I loved a good quote, and this one kind of says it all to me. He who has a why to live by can bear almost any how. I think that's the difference it can make. It makes you much more resilient. It's supported me during the tough times because I now know why I'm doing it. So listen, thank you for listening. I hope that's kind of been engaged. Really asked you some questions, really got you thinking. If you do need any support with your own why factors, or your own why statements, then you know where I am at the Art of Brilliance. Please get in contact. I'd love to hear from you, and stay safe, everybody. And I hope to see you really soon.